Problem 2. Consider 2x plus 1 is greater than negative 5, and 2x plus 1 is less than 4. We're going to find the solution set for this inequality and graph it. So to solve for an inequality where the two terms are joined by and I'm going to solve both inequalities first. So I'm going to solve 2x plus 1 is greater than negative 5. My first step is going to be to subtract 1 from both sides of the inequality so that I have 2x by itself. On the right-hand side, I need to do negative 5 minus 1 and compute that answer. That's negative 6. And then to isolate x, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. That's a positive number, so I don't have to change the inequality. Or alternatively, you could think of this as multiplying by 1/2. So I'm going to take 2x divided by 2 on the left and negative 6 divided by 2 on the right, so that my coefficient on x on the left is x is 1, and then on the right I have negative 3. There's my first inequality. Looking over onto the other inequality now, I would want to solve that next. I'm going to do that in green. 2x plus 1 is less than 4. I still want to isolate x, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides of my inequality. I'm left with 2x on the left. 4 minus 1 is 3 on the right. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Dividing by a positive number, that does not change the direction of my inequality. So I'm left with x is less than 3/2, or 1 1/2. In algebra class, we very often want to keep things in what we call improper fractions instead of writing it as a mixed number. Let's graph the solution to this now on the number line. I have a number line. We're going to graph in blue, and in green I notice that I'm going to need to mark where negative 3 is and where 3/2 are. So I think I'm going to go from negative 5 up to, didn't leave myself enough room, up to 4. That should be plenty. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, in blue, let's mark the x greater than negative 3 part. I'm going to circle negative 3, and then I want numbers larger than it. That means we're going to go to the right on the number line. Next, I'm going to pick up my green pen to label the solution associated with the second inequality. We had x less than 3/2. Remember, that's 1 1/2. So I'm going to mark where 3/2 is right here on my number line. And I am circling 3/2, and then I'm going to lay that right, layer it on top. I want x less than 3/2, so I would have that run all the way down the number line. Now, look back at what problem we were solving. We were in an and situation. As you can see, I'm circling and nice and big. Because we are in an and situation, I need the part that happens to be covered by both the blue and the green. That's this region in here. And so I can write that solution as numbers between negative 3 and 3/2. So my solution set will be negative 3 is less than x, which is less than 3/2, because I want numbers that are bigger than negative 3 and less than 3/2. Well, what would have happened if, since we notice both 2x plus 1 was the left-hand side of both of the equations to start out with, what if I had just sandwiched the quantity 2x plus 1 greater than the negative 5 on the left and then smaller than the 4 on the right? Could I solve this problem faster just by treating it like I was really solving just one inequality, but just doing the same thing to all three pieces. Let's see what that would look like. When you do this strategy, you want to make sure that you're focusing in on wherever x is. So x is here in the middle. I'm going to erase these other highlightings I put in. So we have x in the middle. What I'm going to do is try to get x by itself by applying my algebraic operations to all three parts of this inequality. So in both cases, the first step we took was to subtract 1 so that we had just the 2x by itself. Let's do that here. I'm going to subtract 1 from all three parts. So just to really show how this works, I'm going to show it out. -5 minus 1 is less than 2x plus 1 minus 1, which is less than 4 minus 1. I subtracted 1 from every part of it. The statement's still going to be true. So we have -6 less than 2x less than 3. Notice that also is the same step one we got before. Next, I know what 2x is and what it's sandwiched between. I need to know what x is by itself. I'm going to divide everything in sight by 2. That leaves me with -6 divided by 2, or -3, is less than x, which is less than 3/2. And notice we get the same inequality much faster.